These are all secrets that I want you to share. Let's get started. Hello everyone and welcome to Crafting with Delonda. It's me again, Delonda, and thank you so much for joining me today. We are going to dive right in to those 10 sublimation secrets, but these are secrets I definitely don't want you to keep to yourself. At the end of this video, if you find it helpful, please consider liking the video, subscribing to my channel, and turning on the bell for notifications because I do upload new content every single week. Now, make sure you stay all the way till the end because I am sharing a few bonus tips that aren't necessarily secrets. Let's get started. Secret number 1, infusible ink is sublimation ink. Now, I know that might be hard to grasp, but I really want you to understand that. So if you take a look at this shirt, this is a Cricut brand shirt, and I made this about 2 years ago, and I used infusible ink. And if you look at the shirt, you can see that the ink is actually in the fabric. So it's not on top, it's actually in there. And if I were to stretch this, you see that it's in the fibers of the shirt. And in order to make this shirt, all I used was a Cricut shirt and infusible ink with my heat press. Okay, so if you are wondering what is infusible ink, how do you use infusible ink, I have several tutorials on how to use infusible ink. I have a full playlist that I will make sure to list below this video because I actually love infusible ink. Let me show you a few other examples of what I've done with infusible ink. Okay, so here are a few examples of things I've made with infusible ink. This is just one of those sequin pillow cases, and I just use red infusible ink on top. This is a mug where it says coffee before talkie, and I just put the design on both sides. This mug was made with infusible ink markers. Okay, so and the ink is on there, it's not going anywhere, it's not going to wash away. Here is a wine bag that I made with infusible ink. And all of these blanks that I've shown you so far are sublimation blanks because infusible ink is sublimation ink. Here are a few shirts, a few other shirts I've done with infusible ink. This one just says Christmas vibe, so I use the red and the black. This one I made at Christmas time last year. I made with 3 different patterns of infusible ink. This one was made with infusible ink markers. And you can see these shirts have been washed numerous times and the ink is in the fabric. I think I have one more. No, those were all of my examples. Oh, and I also made this little wine glass koozie with infusible ink. But there are so many possibilities. The possibilities are literally endless with infusible ink because any blanks you purchase for sublimation can be used with infusible ink. I keep mine in a box like this, and these are my long packages of infusible ink, but you can also get the shorter packages if you can still find them. They look like this, but they work just fine. So that is my first secret about sublimation. Let's move on. Here's the next secret. There is no white sublimation ink. So when you're using sublimation ink, it is really made up of 4 colors, and the colors are on the box. So you'll get black, cyan, magenta, and yellow. Those are the 4 colors that come in any box of sublimation ink. That's why it requires you to use white or light colored fabric. The next secret is no cutting machine is required. So when you are going through the process of sublimation, you don't actually have to allow your cutting machine to cut out the image. For example, if I were going to use a picture of my logo on a sublimation blank, I don't need my Cricut or my Romeo to cut this. I can use my scissors to cut this out and place it where I want it to go on top of the sublimation blank. Okay, so you do need software, but you don't need an actual cutting machine. You can just use scissors. You can't use a household iron, but you can use a mini press. Now I do have my Cricut mini press right here. I also have an HTV Ront mini press. And if I wanted to get started with sublimation and I didn't have a big heat press like that, or I didn't have a full size Cricut Easy Press, and I wanted to just try it out, you could definitely start with a mini press. Let me show you what I mean by that. Okay, so I have a polyester towel right here, and I have my images of my logo, which I'm just going to cut out one with my scissors. Or I can rip this. I don't have to cut it exactly. And I'll find the one that is the best fit. Let's see. That one might fit. Let's see if this bigger one will work. Here's the towel. I'm going to place it face down on the towel. And I am going to use a couple of pieces of tape. When I say a couple, I mean 3, maybe 2. Okay, I think that's good. And what I'm going to do, I have the little mini press on the highest setting. Since the Cricut mini press does not have a timer, and I know that with sublimation with most blanks, you will need to do 400 degrees for 60 seconds. I am going to have to use my phone and set the timer for 60 seconds. So let me do that. And I'm going to press the start and going to just press it. I'm not going to actually move it. I'm just going to hold it until the time runs out. I am applying a little bit of pressure with my hand, not much. So I'm going to start it again. I'm going to pick this up and I'm going to, I forgot to use butcher paper. I forgot to use butcher paper. Hold on. Let me get some butcher paper. Let's try that again. Now I have butcher paper. So now I'm going to press again. I'm going to just move it over. Start my timer again. Okay, let's see how it all worked out. I am going to peel it and reveal it right here in front of you. So I'm just going to remove the, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. That is fantastic. Look at that. And I did that with an easy, well, a mini press, but I see I missed one spot at the top because I wasn't being careful right there, but it still worked. So that's a little secret that now the word is out about it, and hopefully that helps you. Let's keep moving. The next secret is that Cricut makes the best blanks. And I typically don't use the word best because I normally say that best is a matter of personal preference. But from everything I've ever used in terms of sublimation blanks that Cricut makes, theirs are the top of the line. Their shirts are very high quality. They last long. The only problem I have with Cricut shirts is that they run a bit small. So I typically get the men's shirts because I do like the crew neck, but they do run small. So if you typically wear a women's medium, you might, go to a large. And if you typically wear a large, I would definitely suggest getting an extra large. But all of their blanks are very high quality. And if you will notice on all of their sublimation blanks, it has the little infusible ink symbol because infusible ink is sublimation ink. So on this bag, it says it. On this shirt right here, there's the infusible ink symbol. On, what are these? These are cosmetic bag blanks. This says it right here. And all of these sublimation blanks are polyester. They have a very, I'm looking for the polyester count right here. They have a very high polyester count. Okay, so typically they are 100% polyester, but I do know their shirts are 95% polyester. This is 100% polyester. This bag right here is also 100% polyester. They also make coasters. They make mugs. They make a lot of different blanks, and they are top of the line. I will share some links to the other sublimation blanks that I love. For example, 143 Vinyl has a sublimation garden flag. They are often out of stock of that garden flag, but those are superb, better than anything I found on Amazon. And I also like the sublimation flip-flop blanks that they have on Heat Transfer Warehouse. So I just get them from various places. I do place a lot of my orders for sublimation blanks from Amazon because I really pay attention to the reviews. But I will leave links below to all of the sublimation blanks that I love and that I've had good success with. Let's keep moving on. You will need a special tape dispenser for your heat resistant tape. Now, as you can see, I have my heat resistant tape on my table right here. This is a Scotch tape dispenser. And I did not know in advance that the roll of tape is bigger on the inside than a regular size roll of tape. So this is just like a roll of Scotch tape, right? So Scotch tape dispenser. I thought, oh, it's the same, but it really is not. And I have found two tape dispensers that I really, really love that are perfect. I use the Cricut brand of heat resistant tape. That's just the one that I prefer. It's this blue one. I have several rolls of the other kind, the brown tape. I just don't love it. But if you look right here, you can see how big the circle is right there. So that will not fit in a standard tape dispenser that you normally find like at work. If you work in an office or something like that, you can see the difference in the size of that hole. So you need a special tape dispenser. There are the multi-use tape dispensers that you can find on Amazon. I did buy one and I unfortunately did not like it and I ended up returning it. But I love this one because I can just clip it right here to my desk. I also have another one that I love. Let me grab it. So I also love my little hedgehog right here. The Cricut heat resistant tape fits perfectly in here. I just love it. I think it's so cute. But I also wanted you to see those bigger rolls. So these are some of the brown. You can see it's still not open because I don't plan to use it. But these are the bigger rolls, and I haven't found a tape dispenser for these that I love. This one is the PYD Life brand. I do like this one. I just haven't found the perfect tape dispenser for it yet, so that's why I don't use it as often, because I like these two right here. And even this hedgehog one is the Scotch brand. So I don't know if you can see that on the bottom, but this is also a Scotch tape dispenser. Okay, let's keep moving on. The next secret is you cannot sublimate on cotton. Now, I know there are a few people who may try to argue that point with me, but I guarantee you this is not the channel for that because that's not really what I'm into. But let me show you what I mean by that. This is a Cricut shirt, and as you know, Cricut shirts are 95% polyester. If you look carefully at the image of the butterfly is in the fabric, is in the fibers of the fabric of the shirt. It's not on top of the shirt, it's in the shirt. So if I were to like scratch it or stretch it, you won't hear any noise because it's in the fibers. The ink is in the fibers of the fabric. On the other hand, when we look at this cotton shirt, This one also has a butterfly on it. However, this shirt is 100% cotton. If I were to stretch this, it does stretch nicely, and I have washed it a few times. It doesn't stretch as well as the other one. And if I were to put it up close, and like, you hear that? Because this image is not woven into the fiber of the fabric, it is on top of the shirt. The ink is not in the shirt. So when you see someone say they are sublimating on cotton, what they are actually doing is considered as a hack, or they're using materials that allow the image to be placed on a substrate, some kind of polyester, and that is what's placed on top of the cotton. Okay, so it's never sublimation on cotton because the ink is actually still on top. It's not in the fabric. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So whenever you see something like this and it's on cotton, it's a hack, or they're using materials that allow that transfer to happen. You should not start your journey with a hack. So I just talked about that. This is considered as a hack. In order to accomplish this look, I used a 100% cotton shirt. As you can see, this shirt has been washed a lot of times, over 10 times by now. And what I did was I used white heat transfer vinyl. So that white outline you see around the butterfly, that is a layer of white heat transfer vinyl. On top of that, I used clear sublimation HTV, the clear one, because that is intended for white or light fabric. And because this is a black shirt, I needed to have a hack to act as the white fabric. That's the purpose of the white HTV. And on top of that, I put the sublimated image. So this is actually 3 layers right here. And this is definitely a hack. This is not where I suggest you start your sublimation journey, because this could be very frustrating. I definitely suggest starting with true sublimation, but we'll get more into that later. Now, before I continue, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. If you're finding this content helpful, don't forget to stick around, because I do want to share some other tips and tricks with you regarding sublimation, about our Sublimation 7, okay? So our next sublimation secret is get an ET, not a WF. And I know you're like, when is an ET? When is a WF? An ET, I'm referring to an EcoTank printer. If you are not planning to purchase a true sublimation printer like a Sawgrass or an Epson, I think it's an F570 or F170 or something like that, there are true sublimation printers. They were designated to be used with sublimation ink. They already come ready for sublimation. If you are not planning to use one of those and you have decided that you want to convert a printer, an Epson printer to use for sublimation, I highly suggest getting an Epson EcoTank. I have an Epson EcoTank 2760, and I also have an Epson EcoTank 15,000. The reason why I purchased the 15,000 is because it's capable of printing up to 13 by 19. If I purchased the Epson EcoTank 15,000 first, I would not have purchased the EcoTank 2760 because I wouldn't have needed that one. Okay, so just that's a word of advice. Now, I did purchase an Epson Workforce 7820, and when it says Workforce, they really mean it. Okay, that requires a lot of work. It requires syringes, it requires gloves, it requires time, it requires special cartridges, and all of that. It's not just a matter of purchasing sublimation ink. It is a whole process that I had no idea about ahead of time. Okay, so I have a video that I will link below this video that demonstrates how to convert it if you have decided you want to get a Workforce 7820, because they are on the lower end. I think it was less than $300 for that printer, and it prints up to 13 by 19. But the ink doesn't last as long, and the process is a lot more involved, if you will. Okay, so let me go ahead and share my other tips and tricks with you, and we will get ready to land this plane. Now, I do have 5 additional tips to share with you as a bonus, and I am going to save the best for last. Number 1, you will need a lint roller. Now, eventually, when you're working with fabric, it's good to have a lint roller, because if you don't lint roll the fabric, you will have those blue fibers that is really lint that is in the fabric, that if you don't roll it away with the lint roller, the blue fibers will just show up out of nowhere like magic, but not good magic. Okay, so you will need a lint roller. I do not suggest getting lint rollers from Dollar Tree. I have not had a good experience with lint rollers from Dollar Tree. I highly suggest you get name brand or higher quality lint rollers for your sublimation. That's tip 1. Tip 2, I suggest, if possible, getting some practice polyester fabric. So if you've decided that you have everything you need and you are ready to get started, I suggest that you get some pre-cut polyester fabric. I purchased this from Walmart and I paid $2 for it. And normally there's a whole section in Walmart near the sewing machines and the fabric and patterns and all that kind of stuff. You can just get some pre-cut fabric that you can use to practice on before you actually waste one of your blanks. So that's tip 2. Tip 3, if you're in the United States, I highly suggest getting your butcher paper from Sam's Club. This roll was much bigger than this when I started, but it's actually 1,000 feet when you purchase it. And right now, I think it's about $26. You cannot beat that. You cannot beat it. When I purchased this, I think it was $20, but when I saw it the other day, it was about $26. And you know, it's going to take a while for me to run out, but I already have another roll waiting right there in the wing. Okay, so butcher paper. My next tip is, if you do not have the money right now to get a bigger heat press, and you know, right now all you have is like maybe a Cricut Easy Press. Now remember, a Cricut Easy Press is not really considered as a heat press. It's more like a heat source, right? Even though you will get good solid heat from it, you'll get even heat, it's not considered really as a heat press. However, my advice about heat presses is to get the biggest one you can afford, because it's better to have the biggest one you can afford instead of starting small and then getting a bigger one, then a bigger, then a bigger. Like, you're going to waste money by doing that. And if all you have right now is your household iron and you really can't do any sublimation with that, but you do have a mini press, you saw that you can use that. Now you will need a timer for it, but that's still an option until you can afford it. I will say save your money. And I also suggest that a 15 by 15 is the perfect size. It's reasonable. I haven't found a need to get a bigger heat press until now, even though I just ordered a big one yesterday. But up until now, I have not had a reason to get a bigger heat press. All right, and my last and final tip is to start with infusible ink. I think that is the perfect way to start your sublimation journey. You are going to get good, vibrant colors. You're going to get ink that is in the fabric, not on the fabric. You're going to get quality results that will last. Wash after wash, the ink is probably going to last longer than the actual fabric. So that's my advice. If you haven't seen any videos on infusible ink and you're just afraid to try it out, I have a whole playlist. And if you just say, Delonda, please show me one more time, I will do it, because I definitely want you to get started. And infusible ink is reasonably priced. If you can find a box of infusible ink, even if you get colors you don't love, you can get a box maybe for like between $8 and $11, okay? But that's my advice. Hopefully you found this information helpful. And you might say, oh, Delonda, those are not really secrets. But hopefully, you learned something in this little chat. And if you did, please let me know below this video. Like, say, Delonda, hey, tell me something you learned. That really does make my day. All right. If you did learn something and you enjoyed this content, please consider liking the video, subscribing to my channel, and turning on the bell for notifications, because I do upload new content every single week. Thank you so much for joining me today, and thanks for watching. Bye.